So this first news item I got here, let me go up here. This is Billy Corgan laments the lack of innovation in rock music. And I thought this was kind of an interesting take because, to some degree, I kind of agree with it. And we had this conversation a little bit about the nature of analog versus digital recording recently. But let's see what Billy has to say here. So, in a recent interview with Soundcheck host Jen Eckert, Smashing Pumpkins frontman Billy Corgan discussed the impact of the internet and social media. The impact the internet and social media have had on the evolution of rock music over the decades. He said, and this is, of course, transcribed by Blabbermouth to give props to them, we've faced a sort of economic, cultural change with what's going on digital, with music going digital, that really changed the unbroken narrative for about 100 years of how people release and consume music. And the fact that catalogs are more present with the click of a button, I think puts bands in a different situation as far as how to reach an audience. So I think there's less emphasis in rock on innovation and more on sort of keeping your spot. My own band aside, where we've kind of pushed to continually innovate, even at the dismay of our fans. So it's hard to say, yeah, it hasn't really evolved the way it would have, but that would have required a different world. And obviously, when the internet became the thing, when digital media became the thing, it changed everything. It changed journalism, it changed politics, so it's to be expected. He continued, when the alternative things started, it was kind of very much from the underground. So the first wave of it was like, who's in, who's out? And then there seemed to come this second wave. And we, as the first wave, kind of looked around and said, who are all these other bands and where are they coming from? Of course, it was a generational moment and it was to be expected. But at the time, it seemed like a bunch of people jumped onto the grunge flannel shirts and suddenly everybody's rocking out and kind of doing what we were doing only a few years before. So we treated, I think, people in that second and third wave as sort of interlopers. And it's kind of the same thing, I think, with metal or any genre, really. Like once it becomes a thing, then you have a bunch of people jumping in and doing it, because it's the popular thing. You see that in rap real heavily because, rap is right now very watered down. That's not to say there isn't a lot of good stuff in that genre, but a lot of it, because it's the most popular thing right now, a lot of it's, very watered down and kind of like, all been done type of stuff. So Smashing Pumpkins North American The World is a Vampire tour kicked off in late June in Las Vegas, produced by Live Nation. The 27-date trek features special guests Interpol, Stone Temple Pilots, and Rival Sons as support on various dates, as well as some of the world's biggest champions from the National Wrestling Alliance who are competing in most cities. I'm sure that's Billy's company. The sequel to 1995's Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness and 2000's Machine of God, Smashing Pumpkins' critically acclaimed trilogy album Atom features 33 tracks in 3 acts and was written and produced by Corgan over the past 4 years. When Smashing Pumpkins emerged out of Chicago in 1988, the world had never heard a band quite like them. They spun together rock, pop, shoegaze, metal, goth, psychedelia, and electronic into a kaleidoscope of saccharine melodies, fuzzy distortion, bombastic orchestration, incendiary fretwork, eloquent songcraft, and unshakable hooks. Upon their formation, their sound was different, iconoclastic, and wholly new, and it is still today. As a result, they sold over 30 million albums worldwide. This last part sounds like a PR person wrote it. Worldwide, and collected 2 Grammy Awards, 2 MTV VMAs, and an American Music Award. Their catalog is highlighted by the Platinum Gish, the Quadruple Platinum Siamese Dream, Diamond Certified Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, Platinum Adore, and Gold Machine. In 2018, they embarked on one of their most successful tours ever, the Shiny and Oh So Bright Tour. Okay, well, what do you think about what Billy's saying there, that there hasn't been much innovation? And I mean, these guys are always stroking their themselves to some degree, and if I was a musician with a laundry list of successful records like that, I probably would be too. But I think there is some validity to what he is saying, in the sense that, there are a lot of rock bands that have come out over the last 10, 20 years that I really dig. But I don't think there's any at the level of like a Zeppelin right? Like when I was a kid, Tool was a big band, and I would almost say that Tool is like kind of like the Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd of my generation, you know, and they're still out there doing that. But who's the Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd of the 2000s and beyond? You know, is it? Some people would say maybe Muse. I don't think so. I don't know. Who is it? Yeah, I mean,